Hello everybody. This short video is about N211 format for emails and letters and structure and planning. How you can bring through your structure and planning the meaning of your message. Okay, so let's get on to it, shall we? The topics we're going to cover: the function of format and tone, and how these two work together. The format in letters and emails, just briefly, because these do count marks, right? And then, of course, our tone through structure and planning. Why have I got this picture here of the snow blossom? The snow blossom has been formatted in such a way so as to attract others and so fulfill its purpose. And the role of formatting in your document is the same, okay? The function which serves to attract and retain your audience or your reader. Make sure that you adhere to the format, because there are a lot of marks tied up in the format, and you can really make or break your exemption this way. So what is the function of format and tone? Well, the tone is very important if you're speaking to a customer, service quality, reliability. Your client is everything, and there's a specific tone there. There's what we call a client-facing tone. Now, if you speak to your friends, you may be required to answer an email that a friend has sent you. The tone for the friend is different. The way in which you will address them will be different, right? And the way in which you will close that email will also be different. Now, that is not client-facing. And you need to tell your examiner through the format and the words you've chosen that you are not addressing the customer. And then again, of course, if it's family that you're talking to, that's different again. So tone is a key indicator to the examiner that you know who you're talking to. Always seek to make this clear for your reader. Let's go on to the letter, shall we? It's always such a task to find the address line 1, 2, and 3. Well, let's have a look now at the company letterhead, including full address and contact details. That's all you need to put there. Your date, Mrs. A. Smith, if you have that initial. Notice no punctuation, and then 2 spaces before the address and 2 spaces before the salutation, dear Mrs. Smith. Always provide a date, and also make sure that there is no punctuation in your opening salutation. These are not choices. You need to do them. And don't waste time creating details for a letterhead when you need your time to create a suitable response for your client. Yes, what is it about this address? Here we see that the address, this was a script that was handed to me to be checked, and they didn't have 3 address lines. That's the first thing that went wrong. But the second thing is that what you can do here is, well, what we'd like you to do from the communication perspective is to make this address single spacing. All right? It's much better. It stands out as like a postage stamp almost. It's separate from the letterhead, it's separate from the date, and it's separate from the salutation. And how you do that is that you go to paragraph in your Word document, in the ribbon at the top. You'll go to paragraph, and paragraph will provide you with a text box like this, and you must make sure that all of these indicators are at 0 and your line spacing is at single. Create a standard 3-line address for yourself that you can use whenever. It's gender neutral, it will be socio-economically neutral as well, and this just means that you are immersed in the scenario. If you're not given the address, create a decent address, even though some of the ACTED notes actually say it's acceptable for you to put address line 1, angled brackets, address line 2, etc. It just helps to create the sense that you are fully immersed in the scenario. Right. So what about the subject line? This is also part of your format. In all forms of correspondence, there will be a subject line. In something quite different, like your fact sheet or brochure, there will be a title heading. So your subject line is something similar. And it is part of the N211 protocol that you should find a suitable subject line. Okay, this subject line is an opportunity for you to create context, to get closer to your recipient's immediate concerns, and it sets the tone for the communication. It forms part of the overall planning and structure of your document, so it really starts here, how you structure your answer. And it's essential to have a meaningful subject line. Don't sell yourself short by forgetting that. Let's go on to the format for the email now. There are many different email packages, but there are some salient points that each of them will have. They will have a from, they will have a sent, they will have a to, they will have a CC. We require you to put the CC even though you might not use it. And then, of course, your subject. Always insert this timestamp either there or add the following, which is this angled brackets here, date and timestamp inserted automatically in an email. You use that on the right hand side, so it will be over there. So let's just see. What does that look like? That's what it looks like, and note that it's aligned, okay? Note that there are these angled brackets again for the email address. So you need to provide this, both the name and the email address, like this, if you want full marks. There are many communication markers, and so we all, cover the extreme. Then you'll be safe. Notice the subject. It says confirmation of features of my retirement annuity policy 600528. Okay. So this is a response that you are giving, because we would only insert this in our response in our exam if we are replying to the same subject line that was given in the initial email. If you don't have an initial email that you're referring to, please do not use RE. Okay? Otherwise, the subject would look like this for another question. Subject, rules of excess governing your household policy. In this one, that is not in response to the email. There's a fresh email, a fresh line of inquiry. So what about an attachment? What would you do? You add this that says attachment below your subject line. Okay? This comes below the subject line. And this is only if you have an attachment to add, unlike the CC. But if you do include an attachment, make sure that the title of that attachment is meaningful and that you refer to it in the body of your email or letter. There's no point in having an attachment and you don't refer to it. Okay? Very important. You would get marks taken away from you on the communication side if you do not refer to it. And of course, we will also be marking a very sensible email, a very sensible file name. So what about closing greetings for emails and letters? Because these should tie in. If you're speaking to family, you're going to say hi, you may say dear mom, you could do that. But if mom actually wrote to you and said, hi Lee, how are you? Then you would go, hi mom, I'm fine. So look at this. This is an email from your brother or sister, hi Tundi, and you would end with love to Mello or to me, whatever you would say there. Okay? But you're not going to end, you need to immerse yourself in the whole English context, and there the relationships are very well defined by these warm and informal greetings to family and friends. But if it's a client, you would be more formal, dear Ms. Buerta, and end with kind regards with your name, if this is in an email. If it's a letter, then you're more likely to end yours sincerely. Always make sure that your opening and closing salutations match in terms of tone and style. So this is another way which you could you could end it. It's a tricky bit. Do you add your full name and designation below, or do you just add a simple cover-all digital signature for your email? Well, you choose. Don't put them both. This one, you have added exactly who you are, Tsipang Shongwe, Head of Actuarial Data, Old Mutual, or kind regards, Tsipang, digital signature. If it is a client and it's formal and you've said, Dear Miss Buerta, then you would then have Tsipang Shongwe. It also does depend on your relationship with your client. For a letter, you would start Dear Mr. Tsotsobe and end with yours sincerely, although nowadays people do end with kind regards and sometimes best wishes in a letter, but it's safer for you to go sincerely, yours sincerely for a letter and kind regards for an email. Right, moving on. Opening and closing paragraphs must align in terms of sense and tone. These are your opening and closing paragraphs as well. Now we've dealt with the salutations. Now we're talking about the paragraphs. Tone comes through your structure. All not parts together work to provide good tone and clarity. So let's see. Some people struggle to start. Maybe they have the ending. Use that. Put that in the end. Some struggle to end. Start then. But either way, you can work out what the purpose is, your audience, and what the examiner wants from the question. So you actually have everything you need to start your letter, your email, whatever document it is. These are the steps. Step 1, the intro or the opening paragraph. Set the scene with information that you're given. You're given a lot of information. Try and understand what the narration, what the story is behind the question. Choose a good subject heading. It captures the essence of what you're going to be dealing with, and refine it later if you need to, but put it in. Rather get some marks than no marks for that subject line. Acknowledge your concerns immediately in the opening paragraph. Not your concerns, the concerns of the client. Refer to the correspondence, a date if they have already sent you something and there's a date, and address their immediate concerns at a high level. Provide clarity or assurance, whichever is required, and also affirm if they are correct and tactfully if they are not correct. Let them know that your company is correct. Provide a roadmap in that opening paragraph. Maybe there's too much to put into that opening paragraph with regard to that. Then you would have 2 paragraphs there. Tell the receiver what you will cover and how you will cover it, and this will provide the framework. Follow in parallel structure what you have set out in your opening paragraph that you said you would do. Then we come to the body, and this is step 2. Populate your letter or email with the main points in the manner suggested by the notes and the question itself. Often you will be able to actually elicit some headings and subheadings from the text itself. They become topic sentences sometimes. They become major sections. Headings help us to organize the data. And you may need to organize the data in a specific way according to the question. A tip to bring your data alive. Include a comparative table or graphic, but only if it does fit the purpose. Your concluding paragraph or paragraph, sometimes you're working towards a conclusion. Draw the salient points of your explanation together. It is useful to have a concluding paragraph, but you don't have to label it conclusion. You can say in concluding, or you can say as a result of what we have just discussed, you will see, and then continue. So is it a conclusion or a summary? Either one. It depends on what the nature of the question is. Do not recommend explicitly unless you ask to do so, and ensure that your conclusion agrees with your opening. Don't use the exact same wording as you used before. Draw the salient points and use different words. Provide a point of contact in your closing sentence and close with a salutation that matches your opening greeting. These are the essential points to build the structure that you need and for you to hang on to, so you don't feel so stressed. Thank you very much for your time, and you know where to find me if you need me.